Robert Barron is the Novus Ordo Auxiliary, quote, Bishop of Los Angeles. He denies the existence of Adam and Eve and holds that hell may be empty.
Are any human beings in hell? We don't know.
He is a notorious heretic and an apostate. In a video, Michael Matt discussed Barron's recent interview with an open homosexual who lives in a sodomite, quote, marriage. Even though Barron made some good points and said some true things in other parts of the interview, his statements on the topics of sexual morality and gay, quote, marriage, his appeal to the false gospel of Antipope Francis, and other things, were appalling. They further reveal that he is sadly an apostate who doesn't have the true faith. Barron was asked about masturbation and pornography. In response, he did not even once say that they are mortal sins that put a person in a state of damnation. This is a clear failing on his part. He even described the mortal sin of masturbation as an inadequate expression of sexuality. That is a terribly misleading message.
So you mentioned porn. I have watched porn, obviously. I think probably everyone has watched porn. I think almost everyone that's watched porn would probably say they've watched too much porn. But what's your basic take on, again, it's a legal act, so again, we're in that place of that something can be legal and maybe frowned upon by the church. How do you frame that whole?
I think actually I mentioned about masturbation, not porn, but because masturbation would be a good example of.
I guess those things are connected.
They're connected, but let's say, so in the church's teaching, indeed, masturbation is seen as an inadequate, incomplete expression of human sexuality. Do I recommend, therefore, let's legislate against it and send the police after people? No, because obviously there'd be such a huge social negative impact from that the Aquinas principle would clearly hold. Now, porn, I suppose we could have an argument about that. I've been impressed by some of these recent studies, not from a religious moral perspective, but from more of a medical, psychological perspective, on the deleterious effects of porn on this coming generation. You know, guys that have grown up with pornography in a way that my generation didn't. But young people today, starting usually at 11 or 12, studies show, and the effects it's having on them now as they try to begin their sexual lives has been problematic. The objectification of people involved, I can certainly raise that as a moral issue. Violence in porn, I could raise as a moral issue. So I don't think that's just free of all moral concern. And I think there are medical, psychological issues attached to it as well that are problematic. Now, do you press that in a legal direction? So I might leave that to the lawyers and the politicians.
Instead of telling people what they need to hear, namely, that those who look at pornography or commit the sin of masturbation will be barred from heaven and sent to the fires of hell, unless they completely change their lives with a firm resolution never to commit the sin again, and receive forgiveness in the true faith through baptism or confession, Barron instead appealed to psychological studies about the harm such activities do to people in this life. In other words, his message is a natural one, not the message of the gospel. Barron was also asked about homosexuality. In his weak and misleading response, he falsely stated that practicing homosexuals, that is, people who engage in mortally sinful abominations against nature, are children of God.
So gay marriage.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much Googling you did on me before you got here, but I am gay married. You are in my house right now. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you this entire time. Actually, when I was doing research on you, I got to the gay marriage portion. I stopped reading because I don't know your full opinion, and I did not want to know before we sat down. So now I welcome you to tell me that, and whatever you say, I will continue this conversation in the spirit which I've done it so far.
Right, and I'd say several things. I said this one time, I was in New York with Cardinal Dolan, actually, and we were talking to reporters, and I said, if the only thing a gay person hears from the Catholic Church is, you're intrinsically disordered, we got a very serious problem on our hands. If that's what the message has become, the message of the Church to a gay person should be, you are a beloved child of God who's been embraced by the mercy of Jesus Christ and invited to a full share in the divine life. You're a son of God.
No, that is a false doctrine. Only baptized Catholics in the state of grace are children of God. Barron also described homosexual behavior not as an abomination, but as inadequate, and in a certain way a compromise, and not something he would want to, quote, fully say, that's great, off you go. This is truly horrible, and it's uncharitable to the homosexual who is interviewing him. The charitable response is to tell him clearly the true nature of what he is involved with and the consequences of it.
In a certain way, I don't want to press it.
The church says no to what?
Says no to whatever that imperfection is, whatever that failure fully to integrate
okay.
the meaning of sexuality. And see, in a certain way, I wouldn't want to press it further than that. That's the church's job, is to say no to what it perceives to be an inadequate, incomplete integration of the sexual act.
So then do you not see gay marriage as one of the ones that you said was so pressing earlier when you said that abortion would be one that is so pressing?
Yeah.
That it could shift, it could alter the course of a country or something. Do you not see gay marriage at that level of severity?
No, I do think it does have a negative impact on the wider society. I do think it is in a certain way, a compromising or undermining of an institution that's key to the health of the society.
Is this one of the things where I sense that your heart and your spiritual self maybe aren't quite matched up? Because I don't sense judgment from you sitting here. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I don't sense that you would try to legislate to reverse the decision. But I also sense that you can't fully say to me, well, it's okay.
Yeah, no, and that's probably right. The way you just put it there is probably right. I wouldn't want to fully just say, that's great, off you go.
Yeah.
At the same time, I wouldn't want to get into a crusader's tank and try to reverse that.
The homosexual also asked Barron if he would like to see the legalization of, quote, gay marriage overturned in the U.S. Barron actually replied by saying no. He also minimized the abomination that is homosexual behavior by comparing such sins to other sins in general. He also never once said that homosexual behavior is a mortal sin that leads people to hell, and he certainly didn't describe it as a sin that cries to heaven for vengeance.
So gay marriage was passed, what is it, a year and a half ago or so?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years now. I assume you felt it was the wrong decision by the court. Is that fair to say? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, I do, but I don't think I would want to press it much further. I think where we are right now in the States, I'll apply the Aquinas principle. I think it would probably cause much more problem and dissension and difficulty if we kept pressing it. I wouldn't want to get into a crusader's tank and try to reverse that. You're a son of God, called to eternal life. There's message one. Now, within that, are there further specifications to be made about anyone's moral life? I mean, my moral life needs a lot of work, trust me, And I need to hear a lot of challenge from the church. But
we'll do confession at the end.
Afterwards, afterwards we'll have a good conversation about that.
Barron is so weak and demonic, especially on matters of salvation and sexual morality, that he would not want to see the gay, quote, marriage law reversed. Incredible.